We are with Dr. Ram Puniyani with a new episode of the Rising Stars. In Pakistan, General Zia, the Islamist dictator, carried out radical changes in our syllabus, which, according to some critic, fuel hatred, especially against Hindus and minorities. There are some critics in India who believe that Prime Minister Modi and his right-wing government is also following the legacy of General Zia, carrying out drastic changes to syllabus, and which might go a long way in creating communalism or promoting communalism in India. We have got there are very few voices in India, as far as I know. Dr. Ram Puniyani is one of them, who is interestingly a medical professional. And I was just curious and I was fascinated by his grip on history. So today we will talk about his point of view about history. Mr. Punani, you talked about Dr. Richard Eaton's book. What does this book say about temple breaking, and to what extent this book is authentic?
Just if you don't mind, you can call me Puniyani rather than other things. That's my real surname, Puniyani.
Punyani.
Now,
I'm sorry for
coming
my
to,
bad pronunciation. Yeah, Punyani.
this question about Richard Eaton. Richard Eaton's book is on temple destructions in pre-Mughal India. So in this, he shows that when Hindu kings were fighting with each other, the victor Hindu king used to destroy the defeated Hindu king's temple. Now, every king, because we had plenty of gods and goddesses, so every king used to have one's own place of worship identified with a particular god. That we call in Hindi as Kul Devata. Kul means clan, Devata means god. So, sort of a clan god. So, every king used to have a different clan god, and they used to identify with that god. So, Hindu kings are fighting with each other. The victor Hindu king wants to give a message that now I am the king of this area, and he wants to humiliate the defeated Hindu king. So this is the central argument of Richard Eaton. And second is finding, which I remember, is that Aurangzeb destroyed not more than 12 temples, 12 to 13 temples. While the figure is exaggerated, but he demonstrated that these are the 12, 13 temples which Aurangzeb destroyed. These are the two major things coming from his research.
And is there any number as to how many temples were demolished during those times when the Hindu princes, would fight? Is there any number?
No, number is not there. He has come to say he gives multiple examples, but numbering he doesn't do because the risk is that some of the temples may escape your counting, and some others may not be recorded properly. So, basic theme, by putting the example of 15, 20 temples, he tells us that how Hindu kings were also destroying the Hindu temple. And apart from Richard Eaton, if Hindu kings destroying Hindu temples, I can tell you there is another very classical Hindi book from poet Kallan. Poet Kallan was from Kashmir, and he tells us the story of Raja Harshdev of 11th century Kashmir, Raja Harshdev. And Raja Harshdev is supposed to have destroyed the maximum number of temples in Kashmir and wherever his rule was. The idea for him was that these are the places of wealth, and wealth he needed more because he was very what you call a spendthrift. He was very spendthrift, so he appointed a special officer called Devut Patan Nayak, and which means that a officer who uproots the idols of gods with the instruction that destroy only those idols which are made of gold and silver, idols which are studded with diamonds and rubies. So this is as far as Hindu temples being destroyed by Hindu kings.
You said that Indian rulers, both Muslims and Hindus, They did so many things for the sake of satta and power. And in fact, religion had nothing to do. Could you please explain it with some example for our audience?
Yeah. See, let's take the example of none other than Aurangzeb, who is most defamed king in India. Now, if you see, there is a record of, as I told you, around 12 to 13 temples destroyed by Aurangzeb. Now, the reasons were different. Some places his rebels were hiding, some places it might have been wealth or defeated king's Kuladevta temple, something like that. Now, that is what we know about his temple destruction. But at the same time, there is a book by Dr. Vishambarnath Pandey which tells us that Aurangzeb gave donations to more than 40 temples. And the proof of these donations by Aurangzeb are there in the form of farman, court orders by Aurangzeb. So in that, uh, Assam's Kamakhya Devi Mandir, Chitrakoot's Balaji Mandir, then Lord Krishna's Mandir in Vrindavan, all these temples, Aurangzeb gave the donations. So that's how I think that temple destruction has less to do with religion and more to do with principle, their logic of power and wealth.
And then you talked about Aurangzeb's demolishing one of the mosque as well, I think in Golconda. What was that story all about?
That Golconda Nawab Tanashah was a Nawab of Golconda, and he did not pay tribute to Aurangzeb for 3 consecutive years. So that's where Aurangzeb asked for a tribute, and this king said that there has been a drought in my area, so I cannot give donation tribute to you. So that was a basic story, and in that. Uh, he had hidden all the Aurangzeb sent his officer and they told him that this Tanashah has hidden his wealth underneath a mosque. So that's what Aurangzeb did by demolishing the mosque and bringing the booty to his treasury.
You have mentioned in some of your lectures that Muslim rulers and princes, they had Hindu senapati or top commanders, and vice versa, like with Shivaji, there were Muslims. Could you please explain that?
See, most like let's begin with Akbar. Akbar had a battle with Raja Rana Pratap because Rana Pratap and Akbar they had a problem. Rana Pratap was demanding a higher place in Akbar's administration, what we call that time Mansabdari. Mansabdari. So that Mansabdari was 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 like that. So Akbar was offering 5,000 Mansabdari to Rana Pratap, and Rana Pratap thought this is below his dignity. So there was a battle in Haldigati, and in Battle of Haldigati, very interestingly, Akbar himself did not come. In place of Akbar, his commander-in-chief Raja Mansingh was there. Just note this clearly. Raja Mansingh from the side of Akbar, and this Rana Pratap had two generals of importance. One was Ram Singh, and another was Hakim Khansu. So if you see both sides, there are Hindus, both sides there are Muslims. Shivaji Maharaj also, if you see his army's composition, there were around 12 generals who were Muslims in his army. So there is a book by Prem Hanwate in Marathi, unfortunately, and those are Muslims like Siddhi Sambal, Ibrahim Gardi, Daulat Khan, and all that, and they were in charge of his important departments. Like somebody was in charge of this what you call cannon division, somebody was in charge of navy, somebody was in charge of the ground forces. So Shivaji Maharaj, whom people think that he was anti-Muslim, actually his army had around 30 to 40% Muslim soldiers, and he was so considerate about this sensitivity of people of other religion, that he even went on to construct a mosque in his fort of Raigad. So he constructs a Bhagwan Jagdishwar Mandir and nearby a mosque for his Muslim soldiers or Muslim officers who used to visit him for advice and other things.
He also advised his soldiers not to desecrate certain mosques or certain shrines of Muslims. You mentioned in one of that. What were those instructions all about?
Yeah, those instructions were like this. First was on way there was a dargah of Hazrat Baba, Hazrat Baba Yakut Wale. So actually, Shivaji used to pay respect to him, and he sent some amount of money for being given to that Hazrat Baba. Secondly, he said, don't desecrate the places of worship. And by chance, while plundering the opponent's subjects, uh, if some holy books comes to your hand, you should not desecrate it. With full respect, you should give it to the person of that religion. So that, and also he said uh, in Surat, where his main plunder story I am telling, in Surat, there was Father Ambrose Pinto. Ambrose Pinto's ashram was there. So he said that you should not desecrate that ashram at any cost. So he was so sensitive about religions, people of other religion and their ways of worship.
You mentioned in one of your lectures that Mahmud Ghaznavi had also some generals in his army who were Hindus, and you gave a different angle to his temple destruction in Somnath. So, what is the story behind? Like, was he really motivated by religion, or it was something else?
Yeah, people think he was motivated by religion, and being a Muslim, he thought Somnath is a pre-Muslim goddess, Manat. Some people attribute it to that story. But second thing is that he was generally an idol breaker, as in the initial period, Muhammad Saab said, don't worship idols and all that. So he tried to prove that he's an idol breaker. So I put a logical question that if he was a idol breaker, why he has to come all the way from Ghazni to Somnath, which must be at least couple of thousand miles at that time away. And on the way there were so many other temples, he did not touch them. So Somnath Mandir temple, while the pretext was breaking idols, as such Somnath Mandir temple was a very rich temple. They were close to 20 million dinars, which can be counted in Indian money close to 151 crores. So that was a major thing, and so his army had his major uh, general was Tilak. Tilak was number one in his army, and there were other four generals, Sondhi, Arjan, Rai, and Hind, who were in the army of Mahmud Ghaznavi. So I debunk this religious angle to this, and I attribute it more to money, because in the plunder there were tens of elephants who were loaded with the wealth, and he took them to Ghazni. On way, of course, there were fight and something is lost, but basically 12 elephants loaded with gold and silver and gems. That was a basic goal. And in that, somewhere Anandpal, King Anandpal, also helped him. And there was another this thing who another Muslim king who opposed it. So history is very complex. If we see one part of the story and hide the other part of the story, then this communal historiography becomes stronger, and people start hating the people of that religion. This was a clever British policy of dividing, dividing and ruling this part, because in 1857, as we see, Bahadur Shah Zafar is there, Nana Sahib Peshwa, Jhansi Ki Rani, Mangal Pandey. Begum Hazrat Mahal. Hindu Muslims, they are together fighting against British, and that's where British policy of divide and rule comes, and to make Hindus and Muslims hate each other or politics, this thing each other. They brought in this communal version of history. While the history is based on power and wealth, they shifted the angle to religion. Hindu king fighting Muslim king, etc., etc. Which, if we see, go into the details of the history, it comes to be, we understand that this is not the real way.
You went to the extent of claiming that they have some rulers, Hindu rulers, when they used to fight, they even demolished temples or attack temples prior to the advent of Islam. And you also made an interesting point about Marathas breaking a temples within the fiefdom of Tipu Sultan. How do you substantiate your claim?
Yeah, this see, question is this is there in the history books that Maratha kings who were the neighbors of Mysore. Mysore was where Tipu Sultan was ruling, and manifesto of Tipu Sultan has been translated recently, which says that I am the guardian of my subjects, and I will do justice to people of all the religion equally. That's Tipu Sultan says. Tipu Sultan also revered Shankaracharya of Kam Koti Pitham. He donated to his this thing. Now, this Hindu temple destruction, Maratha armies once came to defeat Tipu Sultan. So Tipu Sultan and Maratha armies, there is a battle, and it is not a decisive battle. Means these Maratha armies could not defeat Tipu Sultan's army. So in frustration, they are coming back, and while coming back, they destroyed the Hindu temple in Srirangapatnam, and surprisingly, Tipu Sultan got it repaired. And Maratha armies did not destroy it that they were Hindus, they are anti-Hindu. They regarded it as a property of their enemy, Tipu Sultan. That's why they destroyed it. And Tipu Sultan gets it repaired because he says, this is my area, I am the trustee of this temple. So he got that Srirangapatnam temple repaired.
And what about Hindu princes demolishing temples prior to Islam? You said in one of your lecture.
Yeah. That is, as I explained to you, that Richard Eaton only tells us that in the pre-Mughal India, when Hindu kings were fighting with each other, they used to destroy the Kuladevta temple. Kuladevta, I hope you can translate it, means clan god, clan god. So they used to have, each of them used to have their own clan god, and defeat one king who was defeated, his clan god was destroyed, and Victor King's clan god was destroyed. So again, this was a sort of a power game, symbolized through temple destructions or destruction of the idols.
Hmm. Sir, some of your critics might argue that you tried to paint a picture as if everything was hunky dory for Hindus under the Tughlaq, Salatin, Khilji, and Mughals. Does it mean that there was no discrimination? Because there are other writers who said that Hindus were meted out, discriminatory attitude in some area. Perhaps they could not own horses or maybe swords and could not put on certain dresses. So, does it mean that everything was hunky dory? There was no discrimination against Hindus?
Yeah, feudal times are not the times of hunky dory, but they are not the times also to distinguish between people of different religions. Kings used to recruit the people on the basis of loyalty and caliber. So only after British introduced this, their books, History of India by James Mill, and this other book, Eliot and Dawson, that they tried to explain everything on the religious ground. So, which, of course, as I told you, if it is religious ground, how can you explain that Aurangzeb's advisors, amongst Aurangzeb's advisors, 33% were Hindu Rajas? How do you explain that Akbar's commander in chief is a Hindu? and there are 9 jewels, now Ratnas, in his court: Birbal, Todarmal, Mansingh, uh, Tansen. So, so all this I say on the basis of this understanding of king's actions in totality. If you see a part of it, then you can attribute it to religion or being anti-Hindu, etc. But if you see the picture in totality, it is both ways.
Some Hindu right-wing forces claim that prior to the arrival of Muslim, India would contribute more than 30% to global GDP, which was reduced to 23% during the Mughal time. They declare Mughal especially imperialist, despite the fact that some economists believe that Mughals did not have any metropolitan, as the British had metropolitan, looting wealth from India and taking it back to London. How do you see this claim of Hindu right wing declaring Mughals imperialist?
See, what is imperialism? Imperialism is when you rule and you send the property of your country to the outside place where your emperor stays. Now, in British period, right from Babur to Aurangzeb or Bahadur Shah Zafar, the property from here was not taken out. As a matter of fact, I can tell you that during Aurangzeb's period, the GDP global contribution by to India in GDP was 26%. And when British ruled and when British left, this 26% came down to 4%. So before Aurangzeb, before the Mughal period, to think that India's contribution was so high, I think is falsy. It is not true because it is during later periods. Now, mode of production in the early India and mode of production in the Mughal India. Now, Mughal India is a wrong terminology according to me. During medieval period when these kings ruled, our technology, our way of production went up, so the GDP contribution was more, and it was not being plundered or taken to England or taken to other Muslim countries. All the wealth which was produced but during this period remained here only,
Hmm.
and this is a period of good production. Huh?
You see, some people claim that the English, some English officials physically tried to prevent traditions like sati. English rule is also believed to have extended benefits to the Dalit, who did not, who were not considered the part of society. Why didn't Muslim rulers ever think about Dalits or the lower caste Hindus and try to, improve their condition? Or think about sati. I did read that though Akbar tried to physically prevent sati once, we do not find a lot of instances. Why did Muslim turn a blind eye to these customs and traditions?
See, during feudal times, like uh, Muslim kings were during feudal times. And as British colonialism came, there was some process of social reform which accompanied it. During Mughal period or other Muslim kings, the same community laws continued. They did not change or impose any new laws. Now, this was a byproduct of British rule. That on one hand, they were plundering India. On the other hand, some practices which were very abominable, they did try to stop it, like sati. Raja Ram Mohan Rai was the basic person who brought this change, and British supported him to the hilt as far as this sati tradition was concerned. And Dalits, as far as Dalits are concerned, they brought in an education system, Lord Macaulay, and this was open for all. So far, it was not open for all during the Brahminical social order, which was prevalent during Mughal period also. Mughal period did not disturb the Hindu Hindu methods, etc., etc. But British, they did some good things which we should appreciate. Yeah, like liberal thought came in directly, indirectly. Liberal thought process. Then modern education also comes in, and it is the people who were in modern education who oppose the British rule itself. See, that's the biggest achievement. Who were the leaders of India's freedom movement? Most of them actually studied in London, and their followers they studied here in India and tried to have that Macaulay-led education.
History writing seems to be changing in India. Do you see any horrors of these change in the future?
Yeah, actually, India is going on the path of its neighbor Pakistan. Since Pakistan had most of the time politics in the name of Islam, reform was less. And lately, I hear that history textbooks in Pakistan have deleted all the references to Hindu rule or Hindus or Hindu contributions to the country. They begin their story with Muhammad bin Qasim attacking Sindh in 8th century, and from there on, the genesis of Pakistan and all that. So India also, since we had fortunately the founding fathers like Nehru and Ambedkar, so we tried to base our education and other things fairly on the modern lines, objective lines, rational lines. Now, since this Hindu right wing is becoming stronger and it had some sleeping cells in the progressive parties also, so there was some effect earlier, but after 1998, when this first BJP government came, they started tampering with the book, trying to put them more on the lines of communal. Communal explanations were being given more. Then their leaders who never participated in the freedom movement, they were being presented as great heroes. And now, lately, of course, they have crossed all the limits and gone to the extent of removing total Mughal period from our history books. And this, I think, is a very dangerous trend. This will increase the hatred against the Muslims minorities in India.
While many people blame it on BJP, RSS, or Hindu Mahasabha, the Indian communalism, there are some voices who also direct their criticism towards Gandhiji, holding him responsible for this communalization of Indian society to some extent because he was the one who dragged religion into politics. While Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and some other leaders wanted politics to be secular, Gandhi, in order to appeal the masses in rural areas, coined religious symbols, and which unfortunately led to the blending of religion in politics. Do you agree to this assessment?
Not at all. Actually, Gandhi, when he talks of religion, he talks more of moral values. You will be surprised that he was never going to temples. He called himself a Hindu, but Hindu with inclusive values, uh, truth, and non-violence. This for him constituted Hindu. And when he was going to villages, his major trip to villages was to fight against untouchability. Yeah, this was his major effort from 1932 to 1934. So this was not a use of religion, but trying to reform the society through particular prevalent religious traditions which were not fit enough for a modern society. And let's remember that it was Mahatma Gandhi who knew Jawaharlal Nehru, and he, right from 1942, started saying, "After me, Nehru will speak my language." And he played a major role in ensuring that Nehru becomes the interim prime minister. And after 1952, when the elections took place, naturally, the people of India elected him as a prime minister. So Gandhi and Nehru overtly look very different in their religious attitude. But as far as their deeper meanings are concerned, deeper things are concerned, they don't differ much. Of course, Gandhi did appeal to religion, and the highest he used religion was telling the people that God and Allah, Ishwar and Allah, they are the same. So this particular symbolism was there to
Hmm.
appeal to.
But some people say that he
Sorry.
some people say that he would write different things in his Gujarati magazine, and he would be a different person in his English writings. He defended caste system. Many object to his celibacy and the way he practiced. There are some historians claiming that he refused to share meal with Dr. Ambedkar. Dr. Ambedkar at one point asked him to have meal with him over some dispute, and everything will go down. And Gandhi somehow found an excuse not to eat with him. How do you see these claims?
Okay, let me put the other way around. Gandhi constantly was evolving. When he came from South Africa and when he was killed, in between this, his ideas changed quite a lot. And he also said that if you find two of my ideas divergent from each other, the later one you regard as what I believe. So I must tell you that this incident of he refusing a meal with Dr. Ambedkar, I don't remember. But I must tell you that Gandhi, two, three things I must tell you about Gandhi. Gandhi opened a ashram in Sabarmati, and there was one Dalit family, untouchable family in that. So all his close people said that this Dalit family cannot stay in the ashram. Gandhi said, no, it is not possible. This family will stay here. And people stopped supporting him financially for running the ashram. But then, fortunately, uh, just a couple of days ahead of its being closed because of financial difficulty, Sarabhai came and Sarabhai gave him heavy donation to run the ashram for 2 years. Second, Gandhi refused to go to the marriage receptions, which were not intercaste. Can you see the meaning of that? One of his close relatives' marriage took place in the same caste, so he did not go. He made it a condition that unless the marriage is an intercaste marriage, I will not go there. Third, I'll tell you when Baba Sahib Ambedkar married second time, he was a Mahar Dalit and he married a Brahmin girl, Brahmin woman. So that time, the first thing he said, had Bapu been alive today, he would have been very happy. Why? Because mine is intercaste marriage. So I don't, some odd incident of this, he not sharing a meal with Ambedkar. I have not come through it. But by and large, he was very appreciative of Ambedkar's work. And for that, he did a lot of things to accommodate himself to Ambedkar's ideas.
Hmm. My second last question is that your ideas are very unique, but ideas, yeah, like yours, that of Romela Thapar, Harbans Mukhia, Irfan Habib, to what extent they are mainstream in Indian society today?
Yeah, you have a point that what happened that these ideas spread by communal forces, they are actively doing it from last 100 years. While these ideas have not been countered, they were countered by Gandhi in his practical action, they were countered by Nehru in the administrative action, but there was no social force which tried to counter this widely prevalent thing which we see today. What RSS has spread by word of mouth, by shakhas, by social media, by control over television through their friendly corporate sector. So because of that, they are very dominant. And I am sorry to say that people like us are in a minority. In a minority. But lately, many friends are come forward, making videos, writing on these issues, and making beautiful films to to counter the propaganda of communal forces, which of course is very strong, I must say.
One of the factors leading to Second World War was racial hatred that led to the decimation of more than 6 million people. And one of the factors leading to massacre, big massacre in India, was communalism. Do you find it very disappointing that we are still sticking to this communalism, still adhering to the principles of communalism? Do you find it very disappointing?
See, it is disappointing, it is disheartening, and it can give one a very depressive feeling. I do concede that. Last 30 years, I am trying to engage with this issue, but the type of manpower they have developed, part of social network they have developed, is astounding. So now, of course, from last 10 years, there are many social YouTubers, many writers, and many creative people who are trying to oppose it. So I hope that this will come up and the truth of inter-community harmony, amity of the between people of different religions will be brought forward, and their propaganda we will try to counter it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ram.